I'm ready.
Um, Welcome to Survive to Thrive. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Super excited that you're here. We're going to talk about mastering your listing presentation today. This is the first step into becoming a listing agent at a high level. Why? Because you would think it's lead generation, and it's not. It's mastering the conversation. It's mastering the conversation because it gives you the confidence in order to lead generate. If you don't know what you're going to say or do when you get a listing appointment, then you're not going to be too excited about getting on the phone and scheduling listing appointments because, oh my gosh, what if somebody says yes? Now what? So I'm going to share my screen with you. I'm going to give you an outline that I want you to follow. And Brian and I are just going to, we are going to role play this outline. That's all I'm going to share with you for now. But just so you know, I have every bit of this written out for you in bullet points. Uh, Brian, you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right, buddy. So, first of all, Brian, thank you for meeting with me today.
Thank you, John.
Absolutely, man. I'd love to start by sharing my mission statement with you, Brian. My mission is to meet your goals and exceed your expectations.
Okay.
Now, because of that mission statement, whenever I meet with a potential client, one of three things typically happens. One of those things will happen today. Either number one, they understand and appreciate the value that I have to offer and they hire me, which is awesome. The second thing that occasionally happens is they don't hire me, which honestly isn't so awesome. And then the third thing happens every so often. I may choose not to take their listing. Now, you may be wondering, okay, so the pause there, everybody, is to give Brian an opportunity to respond with, why the heck wouldn't you take my listing? And if he did, the response to that is, that's a great question, and I'm glad you asked. You see, and I'll go right into the script. Now, if I don't get a response, um, one, two, three, you may be wondering why I would choose to turn down a listing, Brian. And you see, I think you're going to really like this. If I feel that a seller has a goal or an expectation that cannot be met or exceeded, I would rather turn the opportunity down today than let you down 6 months from now. Does that make sense?
That makes sense, John.
Okay. So, Brian, in order for me to know if I can meet your goals and exceed your expectations, I need to ask you a couple of questions. Would that be okay?
Absolutely.
Cool. So, I'll role play here, guys. I have a notebook in front of me, I have a pen, and I'm taking notes. Remember, the seller is asking themselves, do you care about me? Can I trust you? Can you help me? And if you're not asking questions about them, if you just show up and start selling and telling, do you care about them? No, you don't. The only thing you care about is getting a listing so you can get a paycheck. If you're not taking notes, can they trust you? No, because you don't care enough to write down what's important to them. Okay, so Brian, first question, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being not so good and 10 being awesome, what's one thing that needs to happen in the sale of your home for you to feel the experience was a 10?
I need you to be responsive.
Responsive. Okay, tell me what that looks like to you, Brian.
Yeah. When I reach out, for an update or have a question, I understand you're busy, but, getting a reasonable response the same day would be appropriate for me.
Understood. So communication is really important, Brian. Is that what, am I hearing you correct?
Yeah. Yeah. Big time. My last agent wasn't so good at it.
Okay, got that. Now, if we can accomplish a second goal so that this would be a 10 plus experience, what's next?
If we can get the home sold in 30 days, that'd be great.
What does that do for you, Brian?
It allows me to move to a bigger home. That's what I need to do. Growing out of this. And I need to get in before school starts.
Hmm. Okay, so off role play. Getting into Brian's new home in order to be in the new home before the school year starts is going to be something that we really focus on because that's super important. Matter of fact, that's going to be more important so far. That's going to be the most important goal. If I were to ask all of you, what do you think Brian's number one goal is? You might respond with responsive or 30 days, and those would be the wrong answers. His number one goal is to be in their new home in time for the school year to start. So, Brian, if we could accomplish a third goal such that this would be a 10 plus experience, what's next?
Um, I would really like to minimize open houses if we can.
Okay.
Uh, it's pretty disruptive to my family, and we have dogs, so it's hard to get them out. We work a lot.
So, Brian, am I hearing you correct that you don't want any open houses?
Maybe one.
Got it.
I mean, you're the boss, John.
If we could sell your home without doing an open house, would that be a win?
That would be a win. Yes.
Okay. All right. Brian, are there any more goals? Is there a fourth goal so that this would be a 10 plus experience?
I just need you to really be honest with me here.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I tried to sell it once before and it didn't get done. So you're my second shot, and not so sure I got the whole truth.
Okay. Okay, so off role play here for a moment. Brian didn't say anything about price, did he? No, he didn't. And I'm okay with that. I'm ready if he does. And it's interesting that he didn't. So, how often are you going to hear price? Most of the time. And just to prepare all of you, if somebody says, I need to get my price, what does that look like to you? What will that do for you? Why is that important? All right, Brian, so I've got your goals in front of me. You need me to be responsive. Communication is really important. I'm reading back the goals to demonstrate I care about Brian and he can trust me. You want to get your home under contract within 30 days in order to be in your new home in time to start the new school year. You'd like to sell your house without any open houses if possible, a maximum of one. And
John, an 800,000 would be helpful to move up. Yeah.
So Brian's a great role play partner, guys. So what Brian did is he took me back to the beginning of the conversation. So now we're right back into the needs analysis. So, okay, Brian, so $800,000, got it. What does that do for you?
It's going to allow us to buy the house we need to buy. The market's pretty tight around here, so we're going to need that down payment and keep that payment low on the next house.
Got it. Is there anything else important to you about 800,000?
Yeah, I really, I just really need to stay within my budget. Having kids is expensive, and the rates are higher. I really don't want to dig into my reserves if I don't have to. So that's pretty much that. And also, part of the reserves that I have set aside is for a future pool. So we want to put a pool in the next house.
All right, real life. I know the quiet is kind of awkward, but I'm taking notes as Brian's sharing with me, right? I've got a page full of notes so far. All right, out of role play. Again, if I were to ask you, what are Brian's goals? You might say 800,000 is one of his goals. That's not the goal. The goal is to be able to buy a new home without getting into his reserves. That's the goal. Pay really close attention to what people are saying to you. This is really important for me to know because later on, is it possible that I'm going to have a conversation with Brian about a plan B where he can still get into that new home he wants to get into, but he's going to have to get into his reserves a little bit just to make it happen. Of course, it's possible, right? Now, one of the other things he said, and I'm sure all of you caught this, was it also gives him the opportunity to buy, it gives him the opportunity to have money put to the side to put in a pool later on. Well, if we find the right house for Brian and it already has a pool, then we don't need that money in order to put a pool in later. I'm not going to talk about it right now because this is just a needs analysis. I'm not getting into long conversations with what they're saying to me. I'm not looking at anything they say as an objection to overcome. I'm simply Columbo, for those of you who don't know, detective from like 100 years ago. You could YouTube it. And I'm asking questions. All right, so Brian, what you're looking for is responsive communication is really important to you. You want to get your home under contract within 30 days so that you could be in your new home in time for the school year to start. You'd like to get your home sold with a minimum of one open house. Honesty is really important to you. And you'd like to get $800,000 for your home. And that's important because it gives you the opportunity to buy a new home without getting into your reserves. And it also gives you a little bit of money on the side to put in a pool later on. Did I understand all your goals?
You got them.
Got it.
Thank you for listening.
Of course. So the next question I have for you is, if we can accomplish just one of these goals, what's number one?
Getting my kids in before school starts within the budget. I guess that would be a combo of them, but that's probably my two biggest goals.
All right. So goal number one is to get into your new home in time for your children to start the new school year. Correct? All right. So if we had your home under contract within 30 days, so you could be in your new home in time for the school year to start, and maybe you got a little bit less than 800,000, let's just say we come close, okay?
Yeah.
I don't think honesty ever comes off the board, so we're going to keep that there. I think we can get this done without open houses, so we can keep that there. And on a scale of 1 to 10, when it comes to be responsive, maybe there's a few hiccups along the way. Forget the scale of 1 to 10. Maybe there's a few hiccups along the way, but communication is still important. Would that be a 10 experience for you?
That would be great.
Okay, so off role play. Guys, I want you to understand the two big things here is we're going to have to choose between 800,000 and getting Brian's home under contract within 30 days. I know that. And I know there's going to come a point when we get an offer where we're in negotiation and all of a sudden Brian's going to get emotional and he's going to, I'm not budging on my price. He's sticking to the buyer's at 780. Brian is willing to come down to 790, but he's going to lose this contract over $10,000. And I'm simply going to ask him, Brian, if you sold your home for 780 and we got it done within the first 30 days, does that accomplish goal number one of having your home under contract within 30 days in order for your kids to start the school year? Got it.
Yes.
So this offer, the buyers are offering 780,000, accomplishes goal number one, correct?
Correct.
But we're missing out. We're missing the $800,000 by
20 grand.
Yeah. So what's more important to you? $20,000 or being in that new home in time for your kids to start school?
Getting my kids into school for sure.
Yeah. And guys, it's not really 20 because, all right, we're not going to go any further into that. All right, so the next step would be trial close right here, everybody. And Brian, if I were able to show you that I'm the right agent for the job in order to accomplish all of these goals, would you hire me today?
Possibly. I do have a meeting with another agent though tomorrow, so I'd probably like to just see what they have to say first.
Okay. So let's get started. No matter what he says, yes, no, maybe, the transition statement is, okay, let's get started. Everybody clear on that? All right, then we're going to move into marketing, and
Hey,
that's
John.
means I'm going to go to questions here in just a second. Okay,
Okay.
so we're going to go into marketing, and we'll pick up on this. What is today? Tuesday. We'll pick up on this Thursday, and marketing is going to be your story, your message. So the next thing I'd like to talk to you about, Brian, is what we're going to do to get your home sold. I want to share with you what we're doing to sell an average of blank number of homes every 30 days at an average of 98% of the asking price. Here's our strategy. All right, I'm going to stop share. By the way, if you read these bullet points, my guess is going to be what I shared with Brian. I'll send these to you, by the way. My guess is that what I shared with Brian is going to be pretty close to exactly what you're reading here. All right, Sean, you had a question. I think it was Sean. Whoever that was, take yourself off mute. Talk to me.
It was me. Sorry, John. My question is, have you ever had any objections after you said, okay, let's get started? Like, well, what are you talking about? I just said, I'm going to interview someone tomorrow. Or have you ever had that happen, or is it just doesn't happen?
No, because I roll right into so Darren. Okay, Darren. So let's get started. The next thing I want to talk to you about is our marketing plan in order to accomplish all of these goals.
Got it. So you don't give them even a chance to stop you there.
No.
Okay. Okay.
No.
It's subliminal.
Yeah, you got it. All right, guys, take yourself off mute. Give me questions, please. And if there's a whole bunch of questions, we'll use digital hands here.
Now, if you get the question,
Go ahead, Matthew.
if you get the question, how long is it going to take to sell my house? And they're clearly like having an emergency, like I need this sold in 30 days.
Mhm.
What's a good response for that?
I don't know. The only place you would get that question is before you meet with them. Because when you're going through a needs analysis, that's going to be one of the very first things you talk about. And almost every time, Matthew, when I ask on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being not so great and 10 being awesome, what needs to happen in order for the sale of your home, for you to consider the sale of your home a success, aren't you going to tell me at that time, I need to get it under contract within 30 days? Right? I don't know if I'm answering your question or not. If you take yourself off and talk to me, that would be great. But if you ask me that question prior to meeting with you, my response to how long is it going to take to sell your home, I've got 2 responses. One response is that's up to you. And the second response is I'm selling an average of blank number of homes every month and an average of less than 30 days and an average of 98% of the asking price. Whatever your resume is. Now, did that answer your question?
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. It's up to you line, because that does really kind of put it in our court a little bit.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Now, if they respond with, what do you mean it's up to me? So there's 3 things that cause a home to sell or not sell: price, presentation, and marketing. And the good news is I control the marketing, and I'm really, really good at marketing your home in order to attract the right buyers. You control the price and you control presentation. Now, if your home's not under contract within 30 days, it's going to be because of price or presentation.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
So it's up to you. All right, come on, guys. You got to have a lot of questions here. Seriously?
Yeah, I had this is Sean. I had one. Do you do like a recap and email them what we went over so that it's so they have it quote unquote in writing, and we can, if we do need to make adjustments, they can pull the the summary up and say, hey, this is what we talked about and this is what your goals were. Or do we expect them to remember it all?
That's a really good question. I've never done that, but I don't see any problem with doing that, Sean. I think it's a good question. And I think that I'm sorry, I'm multitasking. I'm reading the chat and talking to you at the same time, which is a bad idea. I like the idea, right? I've had agents who have recorded the appointment and they'll tell the client, is it okay if I record this? The reason I'm recording is so that I'm crystal clear on what we talked about. And you can send them a copy of the recording if they agree to that, but not a bad idea. Okay, who's next?
I have a question.
Talk to me.
Do you ever sometime actually have a hard copy of the listing agreement or any contract in front and kind of fill it out as you're talking so it's ready to be signed?
100% every single time. So, I always, if I have it in my car. So if I'm talking to somebody in the parking lot at Walmart who wants to sell their home, I can pull out paperwork right there on the hood of my car and start filling out paperwork. Always be ready. And I know for those of you who are younger than 40, this is very old school for you. You're like, well, wait a minute, everything's electronic. Yeah, it doesn't have to be.
So John, out of that, so all I normally take with me is the SARE, the standard, the exclusive right to represent and the listing agreement itself. I don't bring the entire package of documents with me. Would you recommend all of them or just those two?
Well, it's a good question. So does your state, I don't want to use the word require because everybody goes sideways on this with this one thing right here. But does your state suggest that sellers fill out disclosure forms when they put their home on the market?
Our disclosure form is kind of, I think it's a joke. It basically says, do your own due diligence because we're not warranting or guaranteeing anything on the seller side.
So your disclosure forms don't have any questions for the sellers to answer about the property?
Not really, no.
Huh. All right.
Every state is different.
Okay. So in Florida, we do. And one of the things that I would do, Joe, that I didn't mention is prior to meeting with them, I'm going to send them an email with a video that's my pre-list. I don't send them out a pre-list presentation book. You could and you should, but for me, I'm sending them an email with a video, which is me explaining what I do to get homes sold. That way, they have an opportunity to see what I'm going to do to sell their home so that when I meet with them, I can focus on them and their goals versus talking about me. By the way, that's script right there. When you're telling somebody, I'm going to send you this information ahead of time. Now, when I do that, Joe, I also send them the seller's disclosure forms. And I ask them to have those filled out prior to me getting there. And I also let them know that I'm going to need an additional key for the front door. Now, when I show up and the disclosure forms are on the table and they're filled out and there's a key on the disclosure forms, what's the message?
That you already have the listing before
That's
you
right.
ever start.
That's right. That's right. But as far as paperwork in order to get the listing sold, all you need at the kitchen table, that when they're going to hire you, all you need is that exclusive right to sell listing agreement. You can do everything else electronically if you want.
Awesome. Thanks.
You got it. One more question. Come on.
Are you dropping off a pre-listing packet before you meet with?
Yeah, no, not me, but I'm not against it. I just, being brutally honest with you, I never did. Never used a pre-listing package. But I think all of you should. 100% I think you should. So
And the other thing, are you going over comps with clients right there at the table, or are you bringing them with you prepared?
pricing strategy. Brian, so the answer to your question is I am absolutely going over comparables, but that's my pricing strategy conversation. I believe as a local economist of choice, as a strategic pricing professional, this is where your value shows up, guys. If you can communicate with them in a way that nobody else is communicating with them when it comes to pricing strategy conversations, you're standing out from everybody else. I had somebody send me a text message from the company that I worked at before as a team leader, and she sent me a picture of the listing that she had gotten, and she said, I've used your pricing strategy conversation ever since you first taught it to me 6 years ago. And it's made the greatest difference in my real estate career. And I just got this listing at 700,000. They started at 850. They wanted to list the property 850. I got the listing at 700. Yana, can I be your coach? CoachJohnDees@gmail.com. Send me an email.
Or Yana, you can just show up every morning, Monday through Friday also.
Yana, excuse me. So Yana, I'm sorry. I'm terrible with, I apologize for mispronouncing your name. It only
Oh,
means
no. You good. You're fine.
okay.
I just try to take whatever hand I can, to learn some more how to be successful, the realtor, because it's a little bit stressful, a little bit stressful for me.
It's supposed
I
to
have I have 5 children and I'm a single mother, and I got my license it's almost a couple of years ago, and I still have zero transactions
okay.
because I tried to, I
It's
tried to do everything together. I tried to do this, do that. I need somebody to stop me and
I'm gonna
guide me.
stop Yana. I'm gonna stop you for a moment. Take a break.
I love you.
Take a deep breath
Okay.
and ask yourself the following question. What's the one thing that I can do such that by doing it, everything else becomes easier? Now, the answer for you right now is if you want to work with sellers, it's mastering your listing presentation. So don't overcomplicate this. Just focus on learning this listing presentation. All right. We'll go deeper. Okay. I mean, that's one thing you can do is get on the phone and talk to people every single day. But we'll go deeper into that too. For now, I got to jump because I'm 4 minutes late for a coaching appointment.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure. Hope everybody got value today. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the privilege and the honor of being your coach. Go make it an amazing day, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you so
John.
much.
See you
You
tomorrow.
too.
Thanks, John.
Go get them, guys.